Let's get connected.
Neighborhood Connect.
Paul Young here with Joyce Cox. We'd like to thank you all for listening to Neighborhood Connect. Vice President of Client and External Relations for Universal Commercial.
Proud to be a part of this podcast.
Neighborhood Connect.
You always get enlightened, inspired, and then, there's no more inspiring and enlightening place than Memphis, Tennessee.
Neighborhood Connect.
Hello, we're back with Neighborhood Connect. I am Paul Young, your host, and today we have a special guest host with me, Miss Kimberly Mitchell, who's the administrator of our Homeless and Special Needs Department. Hello, how you doing today, Kim?
Fantastic.
So I'm excited to be here in Raleigh today. We're in the Raleigh community, about to have an exciting conversation around homelessness. And we are here and we're guests at the Refuge offices. I'm here with Mr. Donnie Wheeler, who's the executive director of Refuge. Hello, Mr. Wheeler.
Good morning, or good afternoon, rather.
Thanks for having us here. And also Ms. Nikki Scoggin, who's assistant director here at Refuge Memphis.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So today we want to talk about homelessness. Obviously, this is a citywide issue. It impacts Raleigh, but it impacts our whole city. And so, Kim, I know you're a guest host, but I want to ask you a few questions today as well, because you often give me and the rest of the city administration guidance on how we address this important issue in our community. So can you tell us a little bit about homelessness in the city of Memphis? How are we doing? Are we improving? Where do we stand on this issue?
Okay, sure. In terms of homelessness in Memphis, each year we have what's called a point-in-time count, and that particular count is done on the coldest day of the year. And actually, we just had that on yesterday. It was kind of difficult because it was raining, so a lot of our people are nervous. We may not see the numbers that we usually kind of see, but we'll deal with that when that happens. But the previous year, the numbers, we were over 1,200 or so people that experienced homelessness, and those are individuals, not families. So that number has decreased tremendously over the last 4 years. And so we're excited about that. That means that we're making progress. Now, there's still challenges that we face currently right now. We're experiencing a lot more of the 18 to 24 age group that are experiencing homelessness. So that's why we work with our shelters, trying to make sure that they stay housed and all of the families stay housed as well.
So what do we attribute success to? I mean, if the numbers are going down, what do we attribute that success to?
We have what's called our continuum of care, which we work with several nonprofits that are working with us to work as a continuum. It starts from one open door through our emergency shelter. There's a hotline that we use. It's called our Emergency Coordinated Entry. And the hotline number, just so everyone will know, is 901-529-4545. And so if you're experiencing homelessness, you start on the emergency shelter side. And then we immediately work with that particular family to try to get them back into housing. Next, after that, if someone presents themselves with more challenges, more disabilities, then they may need long-term care. So that's when our permanent supportive housing is involved as well. And that's where there's more long-term stay for those individuals. And so that continuum works closely together to make sure that everybody is in a loop, information is shared, and everybody knows what's going on with that particular family and client.
That's great. So we're here at Refuge. Mr. Wheeler, you want to tell us a little bit about what do you all do here?
We have a proactive program with homeless, and Tuesday nights we go out into the city, pick up homeless people. Usually our average is about 45 to 60 homeless people a week that we pick up. We bring them back into the facility. We let them give them a clean clothing, get a change of clothing, let them take a shower. We give them personal hygiene items for that week. We have a meal that is cooked for them. One of the sad points, our chef, Gary Williams, who just passed recently, was one of our biggest supporters of our program. He would often come, and he would be the one that would cook those meals. And it was an amazing treat. And in that program, after we started out the first night, we picked up 2 people, I think. We didn't know where to go. We just knew we wanted to go out. That was 5 years ago. And then those numbers have continued one of the things that I think our program has addressed is we saw the same basic people coming back week after week after week. And while we were wanting to meet the need of that person, we also wanted to do something to change the life of that person. So we started one-on-one talking with them, finding out what their story was. And they all have a story. Trust me, they all have a story. And some of them are quite amazing. Some of the people that you talk to, I've talked to some people that very wealthy contractors here in Memphis that have had horrific things happen in their life that caused them to get on alcohol and become alcoholics and lose their business and just spiral down to homelessness, from that standpoint. So it's not just people that, the old adage is, somebody just don't want to work, and while that may be a small portion of that group of people, it's a very small. Most of them are people that have had horrific things happen to them in their life, and most out of control. So we put together a program to where we want to do something about it. And so we started talking to them one-on-one. We point blank just asked them, if you want help, if you want to move forward, we will be 100% behind you. If you are happy where you are, and some of them are, we'll continue to feed you, we'll continue to pick you up, And so we've embraced that. Transitional housing for them. One of the things that's so exciting is being able to collaborate with different people and different organizations. Homelessness has, by its very nature, is something that just sends you in a spiraling situation that is truly hard to get out of once it starts. You lose your documentation, you lose your identity. I mean, it's just so it's we start wherever they are with that individual, wherever they are, and we start rebuilding their life, reconstructing their life, get them back in, and we're very, very excited. We've been averaging about 20 to 25 per year that we've taken off the streets back into a full-time job, living independently with themselves, and we're very proud of that number.
What is your biggest impact in terms of on a particular individual or families? Are you dealing more with individuals, or do you see any families that present themselves?
Remember, that was when it started out. The people they were all males, and then all of a sudden, that was like the first year or so. Well, then the second and third year, all of a sudden, we started females, and most of these are younger women, in the middle-aged women, And then in this last year, that has become a family issue. We're picking up women with children, and it's just I get emotional sometimes when I start thinking about some of those circumstances. Children have forced to live in under bridges and in crack houses and vacant buildings and vans, and it's just it makes you want to do everything you can do to change that.
Sounds like you guys have a lot of different programs. As I was coming in, I met a young man I saw with boxing belts and things like that. So Nikki, why don't you tell me about some of the other things that you're doing to support this community here at Refuge?
Yes, absolutely. We do have an all-star boxing youth program where we partnered with JIF, which is another amazing facility here in Memphis that's doing a lot for our young people. Coach Hayden Parsons is working one-on-one with individual young people that have anger and aggression issues. With the disciplines of boxing and everything that it requires, they learn to control and channel that anger. A lot of people are like, you're doing boxing? That's crazy. That's violent. What are you doing? Actually, it's opposite. It teaches you how to control the anger, because when you lose your temper in the ring, you're going to get your tail beat. So you have to maintain composure. And he is excellent with that. We put him in boxing when he was a young man and as a teenage boy, going through all the teenage boy things. And he really grew up. It was amazing to see the attitude and everything. And it was just like, okay, you look like my son. So who are you? But he's so good with kids, and he can meet on that level. We've had history in the past of domestic violence within our family. And so he has a lot of those abandonment and anger issues, so he can identify with a lot of these kids. And he's just real with them. He doesn't play, and he gets on a one-on-one level with them and has lots of big ideas. And now that the city's doing this, youth boxing league, he had a fighter at the boxing at the Pipkin, and he had a blast. And it was great. We really enjoyed it.
Hayden, why don't you tell me about your experiences with boxing? What kind of benefit do you get from working with these young men in this space?
I'd have to say the greatest benefit is that normally the kids I deal with through the juvenile court system, they're in there for a reason. It's not that as a kid I could have been in that because I had every opportunity to, but I chose not to. Through boxing, like she said, it gets out a lot of anger, and the time that they put in the gym is time they don't put into their veins or their nose. So the greatest benefit is just seeing them too tired to go out and do whatever. Because I've been there before. I grew up in that, and it's not a situation anybody should grow up in. Through my own experiences in boxing, it's like she said, if you can't control your emotions, you're going to get your butt whooped, for lack of better terms.
So how has boxing, I guess, benefited you as a person, as a young adult?
Tremendously. I don't know if you can call me a troubled youth, because I never got caught doing anything. I was more scared of her than the police, so that's just how moms are. But it's made me a better person. It's made me respect time, because everything's timed through boxing. It's a touchy subject, but everybody wants equality, and boxing is the most equal sport that there is. You're fighting somebody your weight. It doesn't matter what your color is, what your background is. For 9 minutes, you are stuck with somebody on equal level as you. You're supposed to fight somebody with the same experience as you are, but through my own experiences, boxing's taught me to fight through adversity, because the first fight I ever had was in the Golden Gloves, and that's like up there right under the Olympics. So I was getting thrown into the sharks quick, and she was there for about 5 minutes before she went out in the parking lot and cried.
She couldn't take it.
But the guy was bigger than me. I was outmatched. So, but I needed to be humble too. So I think that's something else that it does for kids. It humbles them quick. It also taught me not to give up, because I was one fight and I was done. I was over it. And 2.5 years later, I ended up having 115 fights and won 104 of them.
Wow.
So,
well, thank you for sharing that story. I think that's amazing for other young people to hear. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. And I think it's important that you look at the totality of families and the issues that individuals are dealing with in this community as you talk about homelessness, because I think it's such a wider ranging issue. Kim, I want to ask you another question, because this is something that I often hear when I go out into the community. People will say things like, the city is saying that homelessness is going down, but every time I drive down on this corner, there's always somebody out there standing with a sign, and so it looks like homelessness is up to me. What is your response when you hear that?
I get that particular question all the time, especially when I'm not at work and I see people and they realize what I do. That question comes up, and what I would share is that what a lot of times that you don't realize is that it's strictly volunteer. So if you go by and you try to communicate and develop a rapport with a homeless individual, if they don't want to go with you, you can't make them go. So the only time you can make them move off the street is if they're causing harm to themselves or someone else. So that's what ends up happening. And so we have people that actually do street outreach and talk to these individuals to try to develop a rapport. So what you usually do, you'll go out and introduce yourself. If it's cold, you may give them a blanket or a jacket or a coat or something. If it's hot, you may give them some water, some food, and you develop a rapport from there. The whole objective is to get them to trust you, because the whole objective is to get them into housing. And so that's what our street outreach workers do on a daily basis.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure that plays into the work that you do.
Exactly. When you said that the trust factor, it's amazing. When we first started, they wouldn't get in the van. And so what we did is we got a local person that had been doing a lot of street work directly with them that they knew him. So we got him to start driving the van. And then all of a sudden we could fill the vans up, and then the second van. And it's like trust with those people is extremely, you have to earn it. I'll just be honest, you have to earn it. And they have to be convinced that you're not wanting to do anything other than help them. You know, and once they do that, one of the, and I've told it many, many times, they are probably the most appreciative people that we help, the most appreciative. It's truly, truly amazing. And most of the perception is totally opposite whenever you get one-on-one with homeless people.
You're listening to Neighborhood Connect. We're here in Raleigh at the Refuge Center, so we're excited to be here. Kim, I want to ask you a question. This is another one that often comes up. Mental health. How does mental health factor into this homelessness equation?
Absolutely. With individuals in particular that are presenting themselves on the street, most of them, or quite a few of them, have alcohol and drug issues along with mental health challenges. And so, as some people would say, nobody wants to be homeless. And that is true. But there are some individuals, because of their mental state, they desire to be out on the street. And so that's when we work with our agencies, our partners, our nonprofits, that will actually go out and see if they can get them to volunteer to come in to get those services. And in terms of other supportive services that we have, we offer it to all of our individuals as well as our families. But again, it's strictly volunteer. Even though you may see someone who's in a dire need of getting some assistance, you can't make them go into treatment. And so that's part of our challenge, and it goes back to trust and developing that relationship with those individuals or that family. And so also, I just wanted to make sure that I include in there that you all know, for families again, if anyone out there is experiencing homelessness, that's a family, please call our homeless hotline, which is 901-529-4545. And the intent is to try to make sure that we get you into a shelter as quickly as we possibly can if you need it.
So as we begin to wrap up this episode, I want to ask everyone here at the table, so what are some of the biggest needs that we're seeing, and where are there gaps in services? From a city perspective, we want to be able to figure out what we can do to help support the agencies that are helping fill this need. And so I'd love to hear from you all, as well as you, Kim. Where are areas where the city can help to provide some services?
One thing that we have been talking with our partners and our nonprofit organizations and all of our community leaders, there's a need for 30 beds for single individuals. It's very specific, and that is something that we're working on and putting the word out as well in the community. If there's a nonprofit out there that is currently serving single women, we would definitely like to talk with you. So that's one of our greatest needs. The other immediate need is we need another family shelter. Okay, with low barriers, meaning that if someone presents themselves with a lot of challenges, that you would still take them in. So that's one of our immediate needs for individuals ages 18 to 24.
Nikki, anything that you all are seeing that you think is a great need?
Well, really educational resources, and I'm not talking about just the school. I'm talking about holding classes, helping people get ahead in a just getting by world. It's one of the classes that we're offering, getting ahead while getting out. Getting out doesn't necessarily mean incarceration, but it can. It can be aging out of foster care, which is where you're seeing a large percentage of these individuals that are homeless. They have no place to go. And should they get out of juvenile detention center, they put them on the side of the street. They have no place to go. So getting them housed properly and then getting them educated, just basic adult skills, taking care of things. So it's wonderful that we have vouchers for housing, but if we don't teach them how to do the maintenance and how to do their budgets, then they're going to end up losing those things. So these are the kinds of programs that really need to be out there that can also be showcased through the city.
Just to take that one step further, that at Refuge Memphis, one of the things that is currently just like at the top of my list of excitement right now is a partnership that we have made with the City of Memphis Division of Housing and Community Development. We are doing a job assistance program. We're going to take the homeless people, especially, and wayward youth. There are two. Both of those groups of people are big trust people. Okay, that you got to build trust. There's all kinds of jobs. I'm talking to employers, and you talk about there's all kinds of jobs in the city, but they're not being filled for a lot of different reasons. What we're doing with the grant that we just received from the city, we're doing a job assistance program, and it's going to entail a 16-week program. And that Nikki just referred to, the Learning Lab is set up for a 16-week program. We're going to hire individuals we have a business model we're going to roll out in this building that we're remodeling right this second. That'll house 6 to 8 employees. Those are not meant to be permanent positions with that person as an individual. So what it is to take our people out of the program, these people that we have spent time with, that we understand, that we have a relationship with them now. Well, this is the next step, and that's what Nikki said a while ago, what she was talking about. You can go ahead and put them in a house, but if they don't understand home ownership or maintenance or budgeting, or you can give them a car. We've tried this 2 different times, thinking that's the answer, but you got to check your oil, you got to have insurance, you got to, all these kind of things. So what we're taking with our job assistance program, it's a business model with a thrift store and a boutique. It's going to be an upscale boutique as well. It's going to have a coffee shop in it. It'll have the Learning Lab in it. And so we've created these jobs within that. So they will come in and apply for work just like anybody else, but they're going to come out of our programs. These individuals will. And hey, I want to learn how to be a store manager. Okay, well, we have a person here that's going to be the store manager mentor for them. So all of our jobs are duplicated. So if we have 6, we'll have 12, because we'll have 6 that are permanent. And each one of those are training that person to take that on. During this process, we'll be able to get them all the documentations they need. We'll have all that stuff addressed. And so once we have that and they have a job history, then all of a sudden they become eligible to be hired on a permanent basis at other locations. So we're really excited about that. We think that's another step into further eliminating the homeless population here in Shelby County and addressing our youth as well. In addition to that, we're actually talking to some very large corporation right now to give very specific job training skills to their particular company. And I'm told that starting wage there is about $17 an hour. So we're going to train people within this program for that very specific skill set that they need. And we're encouraging other companies that have like things of that manner to contact us, because we want to put people to work. There's people that want to work, but you got to make a living wage. I mean, you know what I mean?
Definitely need that. So I love that you guys are looking at wraparound services and how you can really enhance the lives of the clients that you serve. If there's anyone that wants to get in touch with you all, how do you access services if they need help or support, have family members that need help and support? Kim, I'm going to ask you to repeat that number one more time. But if Refuge in particular, how would someone get in touch with you all?
If they have internet service, to go to the library or whatever, that's one of the ways. Refuge-memphis.org. They also, our phone number, office number is 901-410-8724. We would love to talk to you.
Kim, you want to give that number one more time for the homeless hotline?
Sure. That number again is 901-529-4545, and that's for homeless families. And if a single individual calls that number, they will refer you to the appropriate area.
All right. Well, I think that does it for this episode. You're listening to Neighborhood Connect. We're here in Raleigh at Refuge on the podcast tour, and I thank you for listening today.
Neighborhood Connect, produced and hosted by Paul Young and Joyce Cox with the City of Memphis Housing Community Development. Neighborhood Connect, produced, recorded, and distributed by Kudzukian.
Let's get connected.
Neighborhood Connect.
A renowned author, Mr. Preston Lauterbach.
Welcome.
Thank you. I never get tired of the word renowned attached to my name. That works.
You are certainly renowned
Neighborhood Connect.
on some of the things that have happened in this community, and so we're glad to have you on the show today.
Well, it's a healthy addiction, I think.
Neighborhood Connect.
Neighborhood Connect.
Here at Kudzukian.
Best in Blue.
We go into the schools and we educate the kids on the different things that the police department can do. Those 10 officers have about 5 to 10 schools each. Make sure that the students have everything they need.
On the Kudzukian Network.
R&R on Sports is proud to be on Sirius XM.
So what's R&R stand for?
Real talk and relevant sports issues.
It's racial and relative. We're brothers from the South. We can relate.
R&R has meaningful multiplicity.
Listen to you all polysyllabic and alliterative.
R&R is Larry Robinson and Howard Robertson conversing,
challenging, and always chuckling.
R&R on Sports, part of the Kudzukian Network.
Kudzukian.
Riffin' on Jazz.
Riffin' on Jazz is your weekly visit with friends talking about the music that we love.
That classic African-American art form called jazz.
I am Howard Robertson.
And I'm Alvin Massey from WUMR.
Riffin' on Jazz on the Kudzukian Network.
Kudzukian.
Welcome to Kudzukian. We create engaging, thought-provoking radio on-demand programming that fosters a greater sense of community by increasing awareness and understanding about topics that impact our lives. Kudzukian produces a range of programs that appeal to a broad audience. Best in Blue offers a unique view into what the Memphis Police Force is doing to protect and serve the community.
Sometimes some of us are walking down the street or driving down the street and we think we're profiled. But can you tell us give us a little insight onto how that actually comes across to you all as officers in cars and so forth?
And I'm just going to give you an example. It may say, 8636, please be on the lookout for a robbery suspect. He's male black, wearing white t-shirt and blue jeans. Believe it or not, everybody you see from that point
has a white t-shirt and blue jeans at that time.
Exactly. So we have to stop them because we're looking for a robbery suspect.
Funky Politics presents perspectives on issues surrounding politics and societal values in the U.S. in a cool and somewhat irreverent way.
Every major city in America right now is experiencing an uptick in murders and in crime overall. It's not because of just kids that are in school or not in school, it's the community's issue. I would think that the community, either private small business in the community, the churches that are in the community, civic organizations, and the school could form an effective partnership in order to save the school. Because after all, they all share the mutual interest of the community being safe and productive.
R&R on Sports looks at the sports scene from the perspective of dedicated sports fans and holds eye conversations with leaders in the sports industry.
Ed Too Tall Jones, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to R&R on Sports.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I grew up in Jackson, Tennessee on a farm. I decided I was going to University of Arizona, who had a great baseball program.
What position in baseball did you play?
I played first base.
Okay.
I only weighed 211 pounds at the time.
Okay.
And I was 6'7" and had a rifle arm.
Yeah, so not only were you too tall, but you was too skinny, too.
There you go. There you go.
Riffin' on Jazz explores the multifaceted aspects of jazz and its influence on music. Riffin' on Jazz.
I think I know a lot about jazz.
It's only what you've been doing the last 30-some years.
Yeah, I know.
A voice that can make you laugh and make you cry.
Good jazz, you don't have to worry about what they're talking about. But when they pick up those instruments, we all speak the same language.
Join the Kudzukian community. Visit Kudzukian.com and listen in on some of our dynamic broadcasts.